Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the premium Tier 5 Russian heavy tank, the KV-220. So, is it any good? Yes, it's a awesome tank. It's a smasher. It's really tough, very tough tank. There is another tank called the KV-220T, which was, I believe, a gift to people who did early beta testing. And that tank, I believe, is exactly the same as this tank, the KV-220. This tank, this was given to people in the SCA server who completed the mission objectives a couple of months ago, which I managed to achieve those objectives and get the tank, so it didn't cost me anything, which is great. It is a very good tank. Very well armoured. I'll get into the review and then we'll do some comparisons with it. It has 690 hit points, which is on the upper side of average for a Tier 5 heavy. It weighs in at 62 tons, which is the heaviest of any Tier 5 heavy tank, so you can ram anybody you want, although it's not a particularly fast tank to do ramming in, but feel free to ram anybody. It is a very big tank too, it's quite a long tank. The speed of this tank is 33 kilometers an hour in forward and 10 kilometers an hour in reverse. It does take a while to get to that 33 kilometers an hour. It's not a great accelerator. It's similar to the KV-1 in that sense. Traverse speed of 20 is the equal slowest. It shares that honour with the KV-1. Also the Churchill 3 and the T14, the other two premium heavy tanks, also have a fairly slow track traverse. The turret traverse though is also slow at 22, which is pretty bad. So when you or if you get surrounded, which does happen in this tank because you tend to be on the front line and sort of pushing your way through, and you will find you have tanks shooting at you from all different angles. If that happens, then yeah, it's hard to turn and get your gun on tanks. It does take a while. So you just really got to pick a target, focus on it, and keep hammering that one target before you bother turning to get another shot, because otherwise you'll just end up turning your turret all day and not actually hitting anybody. It has a view range of 310 meters, which is not good. It's the equal worst. The other one with the poor view range is the KV-1. So you're kind of reliant at range on scout tanks, but really this tank isn't accurate enough to shoot at range anyway, so you really need to be close, you know, and it is a brawler tank. So it's not that big of a deal. It also has the worst signal range of any Tier 5 tank at 360 meters. Once again, because you're fighting at close range, it's not that big a deal anyway. The camouflage for this tank is surprisingly good. It's sort of average really, but it's not bad for a heavy tank. It's the same as the KV-1. Considering it's a little longer than the KV-1, that's a bit surprising. I will do a size comparison for you. Actually, we'll do that now. So okay, so there's your KV-220. You can see the length of it there. We'll get the KV-1. Hang on, let me get this into tiers. KV-1, there you go. So the KV-1 is definitely shorter than the KV-220, as you can see there. But they are the same width, exactly the same width. In fact, from the front, the chassis looks very similar, as you can see there. Alright, so the gun depression on this tank is very good. It is 8 degrees of gun depression and has excellent elevation of 24. The elevation of 24 is right up there with the best tanks of Tier 5 in the heavies. The gun depression of -8 is good, but a few tanks are better. The KV-1 is 7, a little bit less, so it's better than the KV-1. But the VK3001H, the German heavy, has -8 degrees, as does the French BDR GB1. The British Excelsior has -9 degrees, and the T1 and T14 American tanks both have 10 degrees of gun depression. So it is good, but there are definitely better tanks around. There are worse too, like the Churchill has terrible gun depression. Anyway, it's good. Let's have a quick look. Well, there's no grind, but let's have a look at the gun for this tank, and I'll go into the arm and tank inspector shortly. So we can see here he has a rate of, it's a 76mm gun, has a rate of fire of 14 rounds a minute, which is pretty good for a heavy tank. The penetration of 99 though isn't very good, and that's the biggest weakness of this tank. In fact, it's pretty much the only real weakness of this tank, is the penetration is low. There are quite a few people out there who fire premium ammo exclusively in this tank because it gives you 121 penetration. I don't, but yeah, there are people I know who do that. The damage of 110 per shot is okay, not bad for a tier 5 heavy. Look, the other heavies mostly do more damage per shot, but the rate of fire of 14 kind of makes up for it a bit. Accuracy of 0.46 isn't very good, poor accuracy, but the aim time of 2.3 actually isn't bad. The main issue is the penetration. It's quite difficult to penetrate tanks like a KV-1. I've found, for example, from the side, I can't penetrate a KV-1 in the hull. Definitely can't penetrate the turret of a KV-1. And the only place I can really penetrate a KV-1 is this sort of area around here. This area here and here. And even then, it's iffy. And if they're angled, you probably can't. If they're front on, you kind of get a few shots. Some bounce, some go in. So there are tanks like that are very tough to fight with this tank. You could switch to premium, and then your chance of penetrating KV-1 increases, but it's still not a certainty. I'm going to compare the gun actually to the gun on the KV-1, just to give you an idea, if you're familiar with the KV-1, the differences here. So the KV-1 gun is an 85mm. It's a bigger gun. Has a less rate of fire. Only has 12 rate of fire, which is still not too different from 14. That's still alright. But it has 120 mils of penetration as standard. Whereas really that's what you're getting with premium ammo on the KV-220. Also does 160 damage on the KV-1, which is, you know, quite a bit more than 110. It's almost, you know, 30% more damage per shot. Added onto that the fact that the KV-1 is more accurate at 0.42 versus 0.46. The only thing that's worse on the KV-1 is the aim time of 2.9. So if you are facing off against the KV-1, generally speaking, the KV-1 will do better. If you're using premium ammunition, you may be able to beat the KV-1, depending on how skilled he is at aiming his shots. The basic rule of thumb, and I'll explain in Tank Inspector, is a KV-220, shoot it in the turret. A KV-1, shoot it in the hull. If you put the turret of a KV-1 on a KV-220, it would be unstoppable at tier 5. Which is why they haven't done it, I guess. Alright, so let's get into Tank Inspector, have a look at that, and then have a look at a couple of games. Oh, just before I do that, my crew is all 100% trained, and I have vents fitted on the tank, which of course increases their training even further. The commander has 6 sense and repairs 100%, and he's currently training camouflage. You can see here that this guy has 100% repairs and 93% snapshot. This guy has repairs and 93% clutch braking. This dude here has 100% repairs, 100% signal boosting, and 66% situational awareness. I should have got it the other way around, but I didn't. And this chappie has 100% repairs and is currently 93% on firefighting. I do have vents fitted, and there will be a camouflage net and binoculars as well while I'm in there. I carry 5 rounds of premium, which, like I say, I virtually never use. I have a small repair kit, large repair kit, and large first aid kit fitted. And on that note, this tank doesn't overly suffer from module damage. It's pretty good. You know, it doesn't catch fire all the time, doesn't get its turret locked all the time, nothing like that. Just, you know, you do get those things occasionally, but they're only occasional. The components are quite hard wearing in this tank, and the crew is also fairly well protected in this tank. Okay. So we're going to have a look at Tank Inspector, the KV-220, and see why is this tank so tough. Okay, lower plate is 100 mils of armor. At tier 5, that's a lot of armor. As is the upper area here, is also 100 mils. The sliding plate here, which is the same on the KV-1, it's also a weaker section, is 80mm thick, as is the machine gun port and the driver's viewport. So even 80mm is good armor. Now when you consider that's 100 here and 100 here, that's very, very good. And this 80mm part is heavily sloped. So if a even funding face on, that's come out the equivalent 152. This is 108. So it comes up stronger anyway. The driver's viewport, if you're shooting the front, is the best place to shoot for, and the machine gun port. If the tank is, well, let's have a look. The side of the hull is also 100 mils. Holy smoke. And if you're shooting through the tracks down here, it adds another 20 mils onto it. That's very tough. Now if we angle this tank at around about 45 degrees, we can see that the lower plate comes up as equivalent of 188. The side of the tank's coming up 145, so I've angled it a little bit too much there. 186, 158, somewhere around there. There you go, 160, 170. So that's about even there. That's the angle. This upper plate here is just basically become ricochet, and if it's not ricochet, it's 180 something. The driver's viewport's gone up to 169. The machine gun port though is a conical shape or cone shape, so it stays at 80. So that's your best spot to aim for if you want to penetrate this tank, if you want to penetrate the hull. As you can see there, you can see that it's the shape of it. It sticks out a little bit. The rear of the tank is also very well armoured with 100 mils down the bottom and 80 mils up the top. That is incredible. So it's even worth angling if a tank is behind you. Look at that, 140, 158, 130. What a tough tank. So if enemies get behind you, it's not guaranteed they're going to penetrate you. This is a very tough tank. The weaker area, unlike the KV-1, on this tank the hull is stronger than the turret. On the KV-1 the turret is stronger than the hull. So when you're fighting a KV-1, shoot the hull. When you're fighting a KV-220, shoot the turret. And here's why. It's not poorly armoured though. The turret is 75 mils, and it's 75 mils all the way around. That's a tough turret, even though it's not as tough as the KV-1. The cheeks here are pretty good though. They're 90 mils, and they're, you know, sloped or angled a little bit, so don't shoot those. The actual mantlet here is also not bad. It's 75 mils, but it does overlay in some areas. You can see it's 75 overlaying 90. There are a fair few areas where it doesn't overlay, and it's 75 mils, so you can penetrate that. It's reasonably flat, but it's still a bit iffy. The best spot to aim for is these areas here. Here, or here, here, or here. 75 mils, and it's pretty flat from the front. That's where you will pen this tank. But it's still not guaranteed. It's a tough tank. We'll just have a quick look at the KV-1 to give you an idea. KV-1's the other way around. Look at the KV-1, we've got 75 mils here, 75 mils here, and it's even weaker on the ports, down to 40, and here is 40. So these areas you can pen on the KV-1, but the turret of the KV-1 is 110 mils all around. So the turret, very tough on the KV-1, the hull not so. KV-220, 220, other way around. So just as long as you can remember that as a general rule, if you always shoot KV-220s in the turret, avoiding the mantlet area, you should be alright. Okay, let's get into the gameplay. The map is ESQ. I'm in the KV-220 Premium Tier 5 tank. It's a Tier 5 match, so we're top of the tree. Interesting to note that being a premium tank, it does get premium or preferential matchmaking, and it doesn't see anything higher than Tier 6, which means the armour still holds up quite well at Tier 6, although the penetration of 99 does suffer a bit at Tier 6, and yeah, at Tier 7 the gun just wouldn't be good enough. But at Tier 5, as you're about to see, the tank does very, very well indeed. You won't see a great deal of driving skill on my part in this game. It's more a demonstration of how good the armour of the tank is. Don't know where that went. Accuracy of the gun isn't great. Critical hit, but I don't know whether that hit or not. We've just been hit by a Matilda BP, Black Prince, but it bounced. So coming up to have a shot at this Covenanter, it's hard to say. My arm is a bit too side on, but I wanted to get that shot, and he managed to move out of the way. So I'm coming in, and instead of facing straight on it, I angled my tank a little this way, give myself a better chance. And we've got a couple of tanks just bounced off us. Another bounce off from the Matilda BP. We managed to hit the Covenanter there. We're now getting shot from everywhere. Nothing has penetrated us thus far. I'm driving right out in the open, which isn't normally a good tactic, but against these tanks, M7 bounced, I'm drawing fire from everyone so that my teammates don't get shot at. I'm basically giving them something else to shoot at. Now the M7 has penetrated me. I'm a little bit too front onto him. There's just so many tanks, and it's not the ideal strategy being out in the open like this, but in this case it's probably justified. Now the Panzer SFL did 32 damage to me with HE. HE doesn't do a lot of damage to this tank, and he also did 2 damage to me before that. But the main threat is the M7, which has penetrated me twice and done a bit of damage. But he's behind the building at the moment, and this VK is out in the open side on, so I'm just going to take some shots here. He really should angle his tank towards me, and I would have trouble penetrating him. But he's just not sure what to do. He's in a lot of trouble, that's for sure. And someone else finishes him off. So I'm moving up to where those tanks were behind the building. I can't see them at the moment with the M7. Someone else might have got it, I think. So I aim for the track of the Matilda BP, and it doesn't do enough damage to penetrate. I hit the other tank on the way through. That was a bit of a lucky shot. And you can see there the quick aiming time of the KV-220. Even though it's not normally very accurate, it was a bit lucky to hit, but it does aim very quickly. So you can do sort of quick shots like that. Using this bit of cover to get close to the Matilda BP because I'm better up close, angled. He's already tracked. I don't know where my first shot went, but I'm now aiming at a Matilda weak spot. Although I should be aiming a little bit more to the right to get that real gap, but it wasn't as easy to see during the actual game. It's easier to see now. And you can see that he's just bouncing off me continuously. He did not penetrate me with a single shot. So really we've only had, I think, 4 penetrations. 2 with HE, and they weren't much, and then 2 from the M7. Well, it was never going to stop a shot. So we've pretty much got this one. They've only got 2 tanks left, and we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's pretty much over. It's mop-up time, really. We've got a Stug and a KV-1. And the KV-1 looks like he's at the cap, or attempting to cap. Probably about the only thing he can do is try and cap. Even though it tells us where he is, at least, or probably one of them cap, one of them cover the cap, might be the only way to go, but they're pretty much toast anyway. But it's good that they're trying still to win the game. Panzer 1C is, whoa, nearly dead. Oh, unlucky he's got 1 hit point. The KV-1 was unlucky there. I think it was the KV-1 that hit him. I'm being very careful to angle my armor because KV-1 is a dangerous tank for me. He's got his back to me. All he has to do is turn his tank slightly so that he's giving me his side, and I won't be able to penetrate his side. But the back I can pen reliably. Looks like he's shooting my hull and is unable to penetrate. He really should be shooting my turret, but he doesn't know. So he doesn't know how to angle his tank. Oh no, he's tracked. He's tracked. I apologise. He's tracked. It's not his fault. My teammate was keeping him tracked, which allowed me to keep shooting his rear. So he couldn't angle. And he didn't know to shoot my turret, not my hull. Alright, so a pretty good demonstration of just how good the armour is. Managed to get a Class 1 badge, and we got high caliber and steel wall. Let's have a look at the next screen. So obviously we finished on top for experience and on top for damage. Yeah, our other tanks did okay. On the other team, the KV-1 actually did alright. So yeah, at first I just thought, why isn't he moving? He should re-angle. But he was tracked, and our teammate was just keeping him tracked, and that was why I was able to just pump shots into his butt. Bit of bad luck for him. And final screen, you can see we fired 33 shots. 26 of those shots hit. Not bad considering the poor accuracy of the gun, and some of our work wasn't real close range. No long range though. Of the 26 hits, 24 penetrated, which is really, really good. We're very lucky. Had that KV-1 been angled front onto us, we would have had a lot of trouble penetrating him, and we would have bounced a lot more shots. Damage, we did 2,199, which is a lot in a tier 5 game. We received 22 hits. Only 9 of those hits penetrated, and in reality, I think only 4 of them did actual damage to us, unless the KV-1 got one into us near the end there. I didn't notice, but I think most of his shots bounced anyway. So yeah, we bounced most of the shots. And damage block by armor was 2,080, which when you consider we've got 690 hit points, that's a lot of block damage. We damaged 8 vehicles, destroyed 5, a little bit 467 assistance damage, and got a few base defense points here. So you can see here that we made 60,000. There was a big bonus going as well, which helped, but even without that bonus we would have come out with about 58,000. So very profitable tank. Raw experience of 1,270 was only enough for class 1, which means people are having very good games in this tank. So yeah, good XP. Next game. Believe it or not, it's ESQ again, except this time we're on the other side of the map, and this time it's a tier 6 match. Although there's only 5 tier 6s on the other team, one of them being an artillery, and there's another tier 5 artillery as well. And so really the only threat on the tier 6 side is the VK. The BDR G1B and the KV-1 at tier 5 are both threatening tanks for us. Yeah, we're pretty well situated in this game. So anyway, let's see how we go. I'm heading for the town because, as I've said I think before, this tank does best at close range engagements because the gun doesn't have great accuracy and doesn't have great pen. So you want to be at close range, and also don't have very good view range or signal range. So you want to be close range where you can see where the enemies are. The worst thing is to be out in an open field with you know, invisible Hellcats sniping at you from behind bushes, and you know, Churchill ones and KV ones popping out from behind rocks and popping back again. That you don't want to be caught out in the open like that. So buildings like this is perfect. I'm a little concerned though. I've gone way ahead. I'm sort of on my own, so I've sent out a message saying help. And the Jackson has come back with affirmative, which gives me a bit more confidence. So the Jackson M4 are heading my way. So backup is on the way. Alright, so we see this Panzer 4H. I'm a little bit worried about the Panzer 4H because sometimes they have a pretty good HE gun. Now, the Leopard has just spotted me on the left there. I decided to stop going after the Panzer 4H and go for the Leopard, because I don't want the Leopard shooting me in the back while I'm after the Panzer 4H, and I'm also waiting for my backup to arrive, so I prefer not to go any deeper. I get a tracking shot on the Leopard and then back just enough so he can't shoot my turret. So I can't see his gun, so he probably can't shoot my turret. He has tracked me with that shot. So he's shooting my tracks. That's about all he can shoot. He's just tracking me because he can't penetrate me anywhere else, and he can't see my turret. He's got his tracks back up now, but it's too late. Here I see the grill. I just decided to shoot the train carriage here to try and blow away some cover for the grill. And here we go. I'm just angling my tank but keeping the back turned. My track goes into his shot goes into his track. I aim now at the hatch. We get one in. I'm going to go for the hatch again. Oh, we ammo rack him. You see the turret fly off. So there, what you can see there I did with my tank was, instead of trying to turn and giving my side, and it would have taken me a long time to turn, I just angled the rear of the tank, because the rear of this tank is still pretty tough. That said, he did get 2 good shots into me, but he also did bounce a couple as well. Right, so I managed to get one of that Panzer 4H as he's going back there. I'm trying to chase him, but as you can see, it takes so long to turn this tank before he can actually start moving forwards. It's a very slow traverse. Oh, actually, you know why it's slow? My engine's gone. I repair my engine now. So yeah, I was a bit lucky with that ammo rack. I think he looked like he had just decided to start trying to move out of the way, and then he got ammo racked, poor bugger. Still, better him than me. Still pretty even. We've got 4 tanks left. They've got 5. I don't know where this Panzer 4H has gone. I can't see him. I'm thinking he might be sort of hiding behind one of these buildings in the bushes. So I decided to go right down the end. And then I'm going to head towards their starting point. I've been spotted, so I'm assuming the Panzer 4 is hiding around one of these bushes somewhere. I don't want to get in a pop in, pop out behind building sniping game with him, because he's quicker and more maneuverable than me. So I decided to head towards their starting point and see if I can maybe get their artillery, or run into somebody who's trying to defend their artillery, something like that. As you can see, once a tank gets moving in a straight line, it's actually not too bad speed wise. It's just trying to turn the bloody thing. So I can see they've got their VK and I think it's a Hetzer or something up there as well. So that means, yeah, which is about right. So they're tanks that are a real threat to me up there. The only other thing that's a threat to me is the artillery, and I'm going after the artillery now. So if I can nail the artillery, it's really only the VK that's a major threat to me. Oh, and there he is, and oh dear, he's pointing right at me. I get a shot into him, he gets a shot into me for 207, so good damage. Somebody else is shooting at me, can't see who it is yet. I get another shot into the grill, and now we finish him off. I can see there's the Panzer 4H. I've got my side to him, not much I can do about it, but he bounces anyway. And we managed to hit him in the front. The shot didn't go where I aimed it, but it still hit him, so that was enough to finish him off. So it looks like we've taken 3 hits that have actually done damage to the tank. 2 from the VK and 1 from the grill. So I'm moving up towards the cap now because I know I'm assuming they're going to try and cap since there's 2 of them. And here we go, the VK is actually coming for me. He's put a shot into me, so now I re-angle my armour. I'll put a shot in him as well. Just aiming at his lower plate and keeping my tank angled. And he's now bouncing off me. I hit his fuel tank. Yeah, we set him on fire with that second last hit to the fuel tank. So yeah, it really is worth angling this armour. Oh, the Hetzer takes a shot at me. And he's doing the only thing he can do, which is trying to cap. So he took a shot at me without going out of cap, which was good of him, smart of him. And yeah, there's no other way he can possibly win the game other than trying to cap. So he's doing the right thing. Oh, well, I suppose, yeah, because I don't think he'd even pen me. Even from behind, if he could get there, he'd have trouble. I was thinking about going around that side, not to the side, to swing out wide, so they won't proximity spot me, and then just angle in on the way in so he can't pen me, or I'll have trouble penning me, and then we'll see each other hopefully at the same time. I miss with that shot. He hits but doesn't pen. And there he goes. And that's it. Alright, so all I need now is a bigger chest to pin all these medals on. It was a good game. As you can see, that was enough for mastery, and we got Top Gun, Steel Wall, High Caliber and Spartan medals as well. Next screen, and obviously we finished on top for experience and on top for damage. The SU-122A on our side did fairly good damage, and the VK there, who came charging down to try and defend his artillery at the end there, did 1400, a pretty good game from him, and 1400 from the Type 58, so a pretty good game from that tank as well. Next screen, and you can see we fired 23 shots, of which 20 were direct hits, which is really, really good considering the poor accuracy of the gun, but it was nearly all pretty much close range work. Of the 20 shots, 19 penetrated, largely due to the fact that we didn't come across any super tough tanks, and we were shooting where possible at weak points of the tank, so that helps a lot, of course. We did 2,519 damage, which is sensational in a tier 5 match. We hits received 17, of which 12 penetrated, it said, and 5 non-penetrated, but the reality is that a lot of those shots were hitting our tracks, and I'm pretty sure we received, I think, about 5 hits. I think the VK put 1, maybe 2 into us at the end there. So it was either 3, no, so it was either 4 or 5 shots that actually did damage to us. So that's out of 17, pretty incredible armor. We damaged block armor was 1945, which is fantastic. Not as good as the last game, but still very good. We damaged and we killed 6 tanks. Base capture defense points 31. Yeah. Now 70,000 credits for the game. That's a lot of credits. Even though I did use a small repair kit, still came out with 62,000 in profit. Now we did 1,517 raw experience. That's a lot of XP, and that got us mastery in the tank. And it was, so with premium it was 2,275. It was times 2 first game for the day, which gave us 4,500. Very nice indeed. Thank you for watching my review of the very tough KV-220. I hope you enjoyed the review, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.